Thank you, Mr. President. Senator from Morgan rightly pointed out in the Constitution, under Article 12, Section 1, the legislature shall provide by general law for a thorough and efficient system of free schools, and that's true. And I think we all uphold that. We take the oath to uphold our obligation to the Constitution. And as I talk with each of us and we talk, I don't think there's disagreement on many aspects or some of the aspects that are being talked about. But the Constitution also is very clear. Before Article 12, there's another article. A little bit before that, Article 6, Section 30. And in there it says, no act hereafter passed shall embrace more than one object. So as the senator from Morgan says, he said that the Constitution states or says shall, mandatory, duty, shall provide for a thorough and efficient education. Constitution also says shall. No act hereafter passed shall embrace more than one object. The bill before us is unconstitutional. It's not in line with this provision of Article 6, Section 30. Because it's embracing, as the senator from Nicholas says, multiple, comprehensive, moving parts, aspects of provisions. Mr. President, I think that the framers of the Constitution, and of course the people of West Virginia adopting the Constitution, gave us a clear mandate of how we conduct our business. And that's because they don't want this all or nothing. They don't want to have to sit there and choose the good, the bad, and the ugly all together. It reminds me of when you go to a yard sale and they put everything in a box. And there's one lamp that works, but the rest of it's junk. I like to take the lamp that works. No, you got to take the whole box or forget it. Well, I don't want the other junk. Well, that's the way it is. It's the box. See, that's what this bill is. It's a box at a yard sale with a couple good lamps that works and some junk. See, the founders, the Constitution is clear. It says we don't need to choose it that way, folks. You can have legislation and be able to look at the good and not have to take the bad and the ugly. And this is where we are. And this is where democracy is being eroded or attacked right here in this body. It's interesting that we want to raise up the Constitution when it works for us, but we ignore other articles that don't. Mr. President, it's interesting that you bang the gavel upholding certain rules of the Senate when it works for you, but then in other things it doesn't happen around here. I don't understand why we can't go to education this afternoon and work on some very good legislation. I don't understand that. And it's not true in the sense that everything that was introduced is actually in this one bill that is unconstitutional because it's multiple objects. Why can't we work on legislation today and let's pass that legislation? Mr. President, several weeks ago we were here and we passed out, I don't know how many different pieces of legislation of different objects, 17 or more, suspending rules, passed it out. House did it one day, we got it done. Right? Good stuff. Good stuff. But no, we're putting some good stuff in it with a bunch of junk, and we're saying you got to take it all or forget it. Mr. President, we're talking about now changing the Constitution. Tomorrow a resolution is going to be introduced so that we change the Constitution. I would ask that we start following the Constitution before we maybe start changing it. Because I can't understand why you are persistent in keeping everything in one package. We've been very clear there are things in there that we would very much like to vote on. We could do it today. We like it. The stuff that's a little bit more contentious, we can start working in committee. That's the committee structure, so that we can work on this stuff today. We can go all day. We can start working on this and make it and get the good legislation passed. You know, Mr. President, Senator from Oregon says that, he hopes that by the time we leave here, by Monday, that we pass some good bills. I think everybody in this chamber would probably agree with that. I hope we do pass some good bills. And so I'm hoping that, Mr. President, that you can call an education committee meeting this afternoon. And let's start working on the legislation that's there too. Yeah, we got a piece of legislation on the floor that bypassed the education committee. It's interesting, the ones that you chose to send up there and the ones you kept down here. So yeah, we got that, but we also got some up there that we can be working on as well. And so I say that we do that. And just as was said here earlier, it says the time is to act now. We have to act. We owe it to our children. We can't be waiting any longer. We need to take bold steps and move forward. Mr. President, I say as soon as we recess, and I'd say we recess, go up there to education. Let's work on that legislation. Let's act now. Let's move it. Let's bring it back down on the floor this afternoon. Let's have the debates. Let's continue working until we get good legislation out and quit treating public education like a yard sale, putting all the junk in with some of the good stuff. Let's do some good stuff, Mr. President. And the fact of the matter is the people of West Virginia owe us. They owe this. They deserve this from us. And that we need to start following the Constitution. The omnibus bill is unconstitutional. Break it up in its parts. Let's get it down here and let's move. Mr. President, take that gavel and bang it to keep the rules of the Constitution upheld, and let's start today. Thank you.